Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni muli wanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted and so very honored and so wicked happy that you are joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, wherever you find your podcasts. Our guest today is William Wilberforce III. He is bringing his high energy and excitement to celebrate his brand new debut picture book. It's called Vroom, Barry, Kari, and the Power Boost. Before we invite William into the studio, we want to let you know that this episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast is brought to you by a bus from Lafayette, the great historical middle grade novel by Dorothea Jensen. 50 years after the Revolutionary War ended, a unique event occurred. Revolutionary War hero General Lafayette went on a farewell tour of America. He was mobbed like a rock star and greeted by several million Americans. Lafayette and his journey are the historical background for A Bus from Lafayette by Dorothea Jensen. This award-winning novel for middle schoolers and high schoolers tells the story of a clever, troubled girl, a wicked stepmother, an annoying brother, a mean teen, a handsome boy, a touch of romance, a world-famous hero, and a playful kiss. Get your copy today, A Bus from Lafayette by Dorothea Jensen. This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by Astra the Lonely Airplane by Julie Whitney. We love Astra, and kids all over the country love Astra too. This book was written by Julie Whitney as a true labor of love. She wrote it after her husband lost his job as a pilot due to the pandemic. This rhyming picture book for kids ages 3 to 10 teaches them all about flying, math, geography, overcoming difficult situations, and most of all, and what we love most, it teaches kids to have hope. It comes with a 2-page glossary and a 3-minute video of Captain Dan giving kids a tour of the real-life Astra. It can be ordered online at Amazon and at bookstores from coast to coast and internationally. To learn more, please visit AstraTheLonelyAirplane.com. Join us right now from San Diego in California. Our guest today is here to celebrate his debut picture book. It's called Vroom, Barry, Kari, and the Power Boost. Please welcome to the show, William Wilberforce III. Hey, William, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jed. Thanks for having me on. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm really excited to have you on, and I'm really excited to learn all about Vroom. Tell us all about the book, please.
So this book, it started, the idea of it started a few years ago. My clients, I'm a health coach, originally. And so I've been doing that since around 2015 was when I started my business. And so my clients always told me that I should be doing some sort of inspirational speaking towards kids. And so that was right before the pandemic hit. And so I wasn't able to see that idea all the way through, obviously with the lockdown. And so I pivoted with that idea. And also during that time too, I was going through my own personal health issues, and so it was the first of 7 surgeries that I would have to go through over the next 18 months or so. And during that time in the hospital, obviously I wasn't working. I was down in my bed, and I was starting to think like, there's a message that I can extract from this that I need to get to kids, And so as I was going through it, the days weren't going that great, but each day I was getting 1% better and focusing on that. And as I was able to get out of the hospital and get my health in better shape, I was able to put the idea of the perseverance and the resilience into my character. And 2 years later, we have a book.
Awesome. Well, I definitely want to find out about that journey that you went on in your own personal health. But before we do, tell us who Barry and Kari are and what's the Power Boost?
So Barry and Kari, so all my stories that I write, they're all based on my personal experiences and people that I know. And so Barry himself is essentially me. And Kari, she is going to be our antagonist. She's the opposite of one of my best friends, you know. And so with them, if you were to think like the tortoise and the hare, how hard work beats talent, slow and steady wins the race. Barry's our lovable hero. He's going to keep trying his best. Kari, she's naturally gifted and doesn't think she has to work that hard. She's a little bit arrogant in her natural talent. And so what's an ode to the tortoise and the hare, once Barry realizes that he can do the power boost is going to be a move that he learns to win a race. And so once he learns how to do that and he begins to practice that, when you look in the background of those pictures on those pages, you'll see that I have Kari sleeping in the background in the hammock, real relaxed and just hanging out while Barry's working day and night trying to get better.
Yeah. That's one of the things. And when I was a competitive athlete back in high school and college and then coached at that same high school, one of the things that lots of kids didn't realize is that, yes, there's definitely a difference. There are some kids who are more gifted than others. But if the work isn't there, if the effort isn't there, it doesn't matter what you've been blessed with. You're only going to go so far. And all of the greats that you see, that we look at and we say, oh, what an amazing athlete. He has so many gifts. She has so many gifts. It's like, yes, they have so many gifts, but the biggest gift is the fact that they have worked and they've developed that talent.
Yes, sir. I agree 100%. And that's one thing that we also forget often, too, is that just because you're not great at something initially doesn't mean that you can't eventually become great at it with a little bit of practice and a little bit of discipline, you know. And so I think that's a message that we all, especially in today's society with instant gratification, we tend to lose sight of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was funny. I look back at my career as an athlete, and I really had no business playing at the level I did because I didn't have any of those natural gifts. I'm vertically challenged, but at one point we had a college player come in and kind of coach our soccer team, just like in the summer, like a little workshop thing. And he came up to me and he said, "You are an amazing tackler. I've never seen anybody do that so well." And I'm like, "You mean what I'm doing is legal?" He said, "Yes, and it's great." And I just focused on that one thing, and that carried me through. It was amazing. I went from playing no time to never not playing a minute through high school and college. And it was just because somebody showed me, and then I said, okay, well, that's something I can do. I can make the most out of that.
Love it. I agree 100%. And I hope with this book we're able to get people to open their eyes to that type of possibility.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're sharing a little bit of your health challenge. Do you mind expanding on that and tell us, what you kind of went through?
Yeah, sure. So at the end of 2019, I thought initially, so just as being an athlete and a health coach and whatnot, I thought I had a pulled muscle in my groin. What that turned out to be, I had to get rushed to the hospital. I went to visit my doctor. He thought I had an abscess. Okay, so with that abscess, I got rushed to the hospital. They had to perform 2 emergency surgeries that night. Otherwise, I would have went septic. When I came through from that, they found out that I had a perforated bowel and I also had Crohn's disease. And so my Crohn's disease, I guess, is very intense because, like I mentioned earlier before, these abscesses kept reoccurring, and we had to keep performing these surgeries to prevent me from going septic each time around. And so my most recent surgery was in July of last year, and everything's been great ever since. And so once that was done, and when I came back from my trip from Rome, that's when I really locked in on the book and felt really inspired and chose this path to begin to start going down.
You've just said so much there, and I just want to touch on that. But before we do, I need to know, earlier on you said, I got through my surgeries and I just focused on the fact that I was doing 1% better each day. And that's hard enough for most people. But this seems like a chronic thing, that there's a possibility that you may have to go in for another surgery. Hope, God willing, no.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
There might be another surgery 6 months from now and 7 months from now, whatever.
Sure.
Where do you get the strength to stay positive, to not only focus on getting better that 1%, but just not giving up, not sitting down and saying, my life sucks. Why me? Woe is me.
Well, what's the alternative? And so, like for me, it comes down to that. And I was also very fortunate. My parents, they did a very good job of instilling this confidence and this growth mindset into me. I have a lot of mentors that I met along the way. Todd Durkin, my Lisa Jacobs. There are tons of people that I can just start rattling off that helped and always affirmed me in these moments. And so anytime I would ever think, and don't get me wrong, I definitely have those moments. Don't get me, like, I'm not some robot of positivity. I definitely had those moments where it felt like it just never was going to end. But you get through another day. You focus on the things that you can control, and once you start to focus on the things that you can control, you don't worry about the trivial stuff. And so that allowed me to just go one more day forward. And anytime anybody would ask me how I was doing, I would always say better than yesterday. You know what I mean? Because in my mind, if I'm thinking I'm better than yesterday, eventually enough better than yesterdays will get me to feeling closer to 100%. And so little tricks like that. And yeah, I just didn't want to, when I knew that through all these trials that there was going to be a lesson that I knew that I was going to have to share to somebody and that could help somebody out, that was also on my mind as well too. And so for the people that I haven't even met, they were on my mind, and also the growth mindset that my parents instilled in me and the people that I've met along the way helped me out a lot as well too.
Wow. That's really cool. You were inspired by the people that you haven't met yet and sharing that message. That's very cool. And I think we might have found a title for this episode. I'm not a robot of positivity. I love that.
I love it, Jed. I love it. We're on to something here. So,
hey, you mentioned that you just happened to mention I went to Rome. Tell us about that trip. It sounds like it was pretty important.
Man, it was. At that time, so like you said, this is kind of a chronic thing, and so, but right before, so say like around September, my doctor said, he's like, hey, for the time being, like, everything's good, and so, once I got that kind of vote of health, I was like, all right, well, what's the next chapter going to be in life, pun intended, and I was thinking about a couple different routes to really focus on but I had enough time to go travel. And so this was my first opportunity to really like get outside the country. And I knew that when I would be done with this trip, whatever it was going to click, something was going to click on this trip, and I will know exactly what I'm going to be doing going forward. And I promise you, Jed, probably by the second day, it just made so much sense to get into storytelling and start doing these stories. I talk in stories, I give advice in stories. Being in Rome, seeing the culture, seeing how everything mattered with these stories, with these sculptures, with this art. And it spoke so true to my heart. I felt so inspired. And even though I had written the words for the book and I had the sketches for the book, I was still just dragging my feet to put it to life and put it all together in one. And so I promise you, the day I got back, I was putting in crazy hours as far as transferring the pictures that were just sketches to my iPad and then getting the layouts and all that good stuff, and so it really lit a fire for me.
Wow. Interesting that you noted that in the sculptures, that everything in that sculpture mattered, that everything was dependent on each other. Was there one particular place in Rome or piece of art that you were looking at where this kind of light bulb went off for you?
Oh my goodness. There are a few, but I would probably say the Sistine Chapel, going to the Vatican, because it's so much art, and so I was able to do it on a tour, and our tour guide was just explaining everything between like the arm of Apollo, the legs of Hercules, like all these things matter to the picture of Jesus. You know, all these things matter to Michelangelo. The level of detail with that was just so inspiring. And being a health coach, watching movement patterns, like I'm very detail oriented as is. So now seeing this in these stories, in these pictures, in these art, and the fact that it's lasted hundreds and hundreds of years is mind blowing in itself to me too. So, those are the things that last the test of time. Those are the lessons that really matter in life. All the things that we're worried about in our day to day are very, very small when you look at the totality of all the history in Rome and all that good stuff.
Yeah. It's amazing. I haven't made it over to Rome yet, but we've had a number of Italian students live with us as international students, and it's always hard for me when I walk around Boston. I think Boston, all this history in Boston, and look at this house is 400 years old.
Sure.
And it's like, yeah, but you guys have toilets that are 1,200 years old.
Oh my goodness, Jed, you get it. Like how that makes. Oh my goodness, it's mind blowing to me. It is mind blowing.
Hey, you've mentioned a number of times that you're a health coach, and I have a feeling that there's some people who are listening who might be scratching their heads and say, well, I know about a trainer in a gym, and I know about nutritionists, but this health coach thing, what is that, like a California thing, or can you tell us what it is?
We make up a lot of things in California. You got to include a health coach. So what that looks like, so I do more than just the personal training thing, the nutrition thing. I also do group classes. I do them all. I do it all. And so with that being said, whether it be mindset, if you need to get strong, if you need to check your diet, all three of those things are tied in together with what I do. And I also have my group fitness class as well too, which was the main thing that I was doing at first. And then all those other things just added into it as I got deeper into the profession.
Yeah. As a health coach, is that whole idea of working and focusing on the 1% that's getting better every day, is that vital? That kind of mindset vital in helping people achieve their health goals?
Yeah, I think that's vital for achieving any goal, honestly. Because one, we would wish and love that goal chasing is linear, one straight line, right? We all know it's really up and down, around and around, and all that good stuff. And so, in all that chaos, we lose sight of. In all that chaos, we'll define a setback as something that isn't really a setback if you look at it with the right perspective. Mm-hmm. If you look at it with the right perspective, it's just learning, you know? And so in that, getting that 1% better, those small wins add up. Mm-hmm. Those small wins add up. And if you start to focus on the things that you don't have, again, it's all about perspective and what you're paying attention to. And so if I'm going for a goal, a big goal, I can't get it in one bite. Mm-hmm. I can't get it in one bite. I got to do the small things consistently over time. And so if I do that enough, and I'm consistent enough, and I'm disciplined enough, and I'm open-minded to learn from if I'm open-minded to learn from the times that aren't going the way that I want them to, I can grow and I can get better and I can get better. And so that's the whole mindset behind the whole thing. And also too, with my clients, like, I would be remiss to be woe is me when I think that they can do anything on the planet. Mm-hmm. And so no matter how far I get knocked down, I have to be able to think that I can get myself way back up and more, mm-hmm. because I believe that we all can do so many things, but we beat ourselves up mentally before we even get started.
Yeah. So important. Such an important mindset to help our kids really embrace that you are capable of doing amazing, wonderful things. It's not going to come to you all at once. It's not going to be this straight line to success. You're going to have bumps in the road, and the real test is how you get up from those bumps.
100%.
Yeah.
Couldn't say it better.
Yeah. Well, I'm really curious now. You have all this energy. You have so much going on. and now Vroom is out there in the world. Have you caught the children's author bug? Have you said to yourself, this isn't my children's book. This is my first children's book?
Yes, it's my first. It's my first. And so I love where your mind's at, Jed. I love it, brother. Yeah, definitely this is my first. I've been working on the second. The second's going to be a separate from Barry. I want Barry to be its own series and all that good stuff. The second one is just something a little different. I really want that, particularly for my nephew. He's still at that age where all this makes sense for him. You know, he's 6 going on 7 in July. And so as long as this is it. I love like going to the schools, getting to read. I got to read at a couple schools the last couple of weeks. Just getting the feedback from the kids, seeing them react the way that when I wrote it and when I drew it, like it's Jed, the best way to say it. If you ever had a dream and that was so far-fetched, but you wanted it and you wanted it to go a certain way and you thought about all the ways that it could feel, and then in reality, when you get to that part and you are closer to accomplishing that goal, it feels way better than I ever could imagine, you know? And so, yes, first of many. Yes, sir.
I love that. I love that. It's like I had this dream. I thought I was going to feel so great when I got there. And then I got there and I discovered I feel even better. I feel even better. That is crazy. You're a health coach, you're an author, you've had this experience, you're resilient. What advice, if I had to ask you for one sentence or one piece of advice you could share with parents that they could then share with their kids to have a happy and a full life, what would it might be?
Oh, man, that's a good question, Jed. That is a good question. You're always in control of your attitude and your effort, so choose wisely. Choose wisely.
I like that. You're always in control of your attitude and your effort, so choose wisely. Very cool. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, right now, I am going to choose, and I hope it's a good choice, to ask you where people can go to find out more about Vroom, Barry, Kari, and the Power Boost, and find out more about you.
You can go to my website, williamwilberforce.com, all right? You can also go to my Instagram or my Facebook handle, William G. Wilberforce III. The book is going to be out May 3rd. Available on Amazon and Google Play right now. Pre-orders available right now as well too, paperback, hardback, and as well on Kindle. Man, we're on a journey. We don't know where it's going to go, but I'm glad to go with you guys.
Awesome. And if people go to your website, can they also find out about your coaching services? Are you able to coach people around the country?
Absolutely. I do most of my work remotely. And so if you actually go to my business site, the Wave GP, so THEWAVEGP.com, all my services are there. And I'll be grateful to work with you.
Awesome. Well, we've had a really fun and inspiring time speaking to the author of the debut picture book, Vroom, Barry, Kari, and the Power Boost. Our guest has been William Wilberforce III. Hey, William, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Dad. I appreciate you so much. You have the best day ever, all right?
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We'll have the very cool Arlene Freeman in to speak about her beautiful new children's book. It's called Cool Kids. That's the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Hey, if you are the author of a fantastic children's book like William Wilberforce III or like our next guest, Arlene Freeman, please visit readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the author's Click Here button at the top of the page and scroll on down to learn how we can help you celebrate your fantastic children's book. You can be a guest here on the podcast. It's fun. It's easy. It's free. And it gives you the chance to tell thousands of people in a long-form conversation all about your fantastic children's book. Just visit readingwithyourkids.com and click on the Authors Click Here button. You can also learn how you can submit your book to our Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read panel, and also find out about our monthly promotion packages. We're really excited about these packages. Siobhan Hong wrote to us and she thanked us. She credits our monthly program package to helping her book reach the #1 spot in its category on Amazon. And we help celebrate her book through commercials on the podcast, through messages to our 90,000 social media followers, through displaying her book on our nationwide network of digital pedestrian billboards. It's a great value. You really have to check it out. Go to readingwithyourkids.com, click on that Authors Click Here button at the top of the page. You won't be sorry. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, I want to start by thanking our guest, William Wilberforce III. Please be sure to check out Vroom, Barry, Kari, and the Power Boost. Also want to thank our sponsors, A Bus from Lafayette by Dorothea Jensen, the award-winning book for middle schoolers and high schoolers. And we also want to thank Astra, the Lonely Airplane by Julie Whitney. I absolutely want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Nicole Belcastro, Ashley Contouris. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.